Who would win in a game of Flip Cup? The servants of Sauron, the fighting Uruk-hai, or Derek from Fidel? Hi, I'm Harrison, a certified sommelier, 2013 Beer Pong Participation Award winner, and your Mid-Earth Somm. Now, were the servants of Sauron distilling liquor? Very possibly. If spirits were to be used in any capacity by Mordor's forces, it would most likely be for medicinal purposes. That is, as tinctures infused with bitter herbs, rubbed on wounds, or drunk to fight sickness, or inspire wounded orcs to keep fighting.
Treat an outside wound with rubbing alcohol, you treat an inside wound with drinking alcohol. Science.
Indeed, this was the primary use for distillates for much of human history. Well, that is, until the late medieval ages, when drunk Europeans did what drunk Europeans do and found a way to make more drunk Europeans more drunk. Europeans. In fact, some theorize that distillation took off in the modern sense following the Black Plague, where tinctures of distillate were used as medicine. And indeed, we do see this in the text with the way that Ugluk heals Pippin.
Give him some medicine, boys!
Now, I know Ugluk is an Uruk-hai and not a Mordor orc, so there's a possibility that distilled spirits are unique to Isengard's armies alone. But I'd wager that if Saruman's troops have it, Mordor's most likely do as well. Maya's gonna Maya, you know? These distilled spirits would most likely be grain-based, given it's probably Mordor's most abundant crop. Continuous stills that produce neutral spirits are a fairly recent invention, so Mordor most likely would be using a primitive pot still, similar to an ancient Alembic. Now, you may be asking yourself, what the f*** is an Alembic? And I may ask you, have you not f***ing played Elder Scrolls? And you may respond, yeah, well, of f***ing course I have. I've played them all going back to f***ing Daggerfall. What are you, a fake fan? To which I may respond, oh, for real? How was that? You know, it's fine. For its time, big world, but the graphics are, I mean, it's definitely no remastered Oblivion. There was an Oblivion remake? Hell yeah, they did. What, you didn't know about that? You're a fucking fake fan. No, because I know what an Alembic is. It's the thing on top of the potion surface. Alembics would produce a flavorful distillation with much of its base flavonoids intact, but still recognizable as something similar to vodka. Now, what's a flavonoid? I don't know, man. What's a fucking color? It's like what it fucking sounds like. It's the flavor compounds responsible for making you taste like Jesus. I don't have the time. This concoction would most likely be then mixed with local herbs to make firewater capable of putting some pep back into the step of injured orcs. Of course, if they're infusing herbs into the distillate, then redistilling it, they could produce something similar to gin, which would be fitting, as legend says that gin first caught the attention of British soldiers seeking Dutch courage on the battlefields of the 30 Years' War. It would also be fitting due to Sauron's well-documented burlesque era. For more on that, see our video on Sauron's eras. Did the orcs even have the technology to be able to perform distillation? Yeah, probably. We're not really quite sure when we first started distilling. Modern distillation with continuous stills goes back, I think, to the 1800s with the continuous still. That's technology wherein we can keep redistilling something over and over again until you basically remove all original flavor compounds in it. So like your vodka that you have is gonna be, you're gonna have a base alcoholic, or you're gonna have a base fermented beverage that then is fermented once. So when you ferment it once, there's still some of those flavonoids left in there. It's still gonna taste a little bit like whether it was grain, whether it was barley, whether it was potato. You're still gonna taste, you're gonna have some of those flavors in there. But if you keep distilling it over and over again, eventually it's not gonna taste like anything. So most vodka is run through a continuous still. Most whiskeys are run through a continuous still until you get this base neutral spirit. Most distilleries aren't doing this themselves. Most of them are buying bulk neutral spirits, and then they're aging it in their own way because it's expensive. You have to source all your own grains and go through a much longer process. So most of the stuff that you buy is sort of just bulk bought, and then the final steps are done at the distillery with the way that they age it, or if they're blending it. We were doing primitive forms of distillation thousands of years ago. There was primitive distillation, thinking about vodka in Poland and other places in Slavic Europe, where they were actually distilling with it's called ice distillation, and I don't remember enough about it to go into it now, but basically you don't even need a still necessarily to create a concentrated liquor. You're able to do it just with temperatures and ice. If memory serves me right, a lot of distillation was perfected under Islamic scientists, and so they weren't distilling it to drink alcohol and get drunk. They were distilling it for scientific purposes, for essential oils to create concentrated scents. The whole alcohol thing really came about from Europeans once they started really honing in on the distillation technology following the Black Plague and the waning of the medieval ages.
Wait, what is this, though, about distillation was done originally not for alcohol to consume?
Well, I mean, so distillation most likely wasn't, like... Did you know that distillation probably wasn't invented for us all to get absolutely smashed off our asses? It was probably so things would smell better. Distillation wasn't originally performed with the idea of creating alcohol to drink to get drunk. It was mainly done in order to get what we call now essential oils, to be able to get those strong oil scents. It was for medicinal purposes, creating tinctures. This is back before we had modern medicine and germ theory. And then it really came to Europe through the plague periods, and then catalyzed into the kind of mass distillation for alcohol that we think of today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed our breakdown of the wines, ales, and spirits of Mordor, please like and subscribe, as we have so much more on the way. And as always, let us know what you think they're drinking in your favorite part of Middle-earth, Westeros, Arrakis, Hogwarts, Downtown Disney, or Universal City Walk. Please stop DMing us about Knott's Berry Farm. We very much know what they're drinking there, and it does not need to be covered.